So a lot of people have been asking ChatGPT a whole bunch of questions, right? I've been seeing like, how would you survive the zombie apocalypse? How to make $1 million, how to start a business from scratch, how to rob a bank. And I don't know if you've done this, but ChatGPT gives you a really impressive answer no matter what you ask it. Like it's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
right? It'll give you like step by step on how to do it, and it'll think of things that you would have never thought of, right? So, you know me, in my 1 a.m. can't sleep modes,
Yeah.
I start talking to ChatGPT and I was like, you know what? Let me ask it, if you were the devil, how would you break up a happy home?
Yikes.
And let me tell you, it was scary because it wasn't like obvious things. It was very real things that normal people do on a day-to-day basis. And you don't realize
God, you gave
how,
me goosebumps.
yeah, I didn't realize how normal things could lead to such a broken family. Like healthy, happy families that are strong, how do you destroy that? And what I wanted to do was go through them because I think you will be surprised when you hear some of these.
Yeah.
So the question I asked was, if you were the devil, how would you destroy a happy family? Right? And this is the intro. This is how it started. It said, if I were the devil and my goal was to destroy a happy family, I wouldn't do it in an obvious or dramatic way at first. I do it subtly, slowly, and surgically because that's the most effective way to dismantle something strong and beautiful.
Wow.
Here's how I'd go about it. So, slowly and surgically is insane.
No, it's
Like surgically
diabolical.
means I mean literally it's diabolical. Surgically means I'm going to be so precise in how I do it with careful consideration in what I do
Yeah.
to make sure that it's effective.
The devil has time.
The devil definitely has time, and ChatGPT clearly knows the devil, right? So, first thing the devil would do, I'll start with the husband. Make him feel like he's never enough. I'd whisper that his hard work goes unnoticed. I'd convince him that his role is thankless and maybe he deserves more freedom, more recognition, more excitement.
Savage.
I'd let him feel that if he fails as a provider or protector, his worth as a man is gone. And the goal is to isolate him emotionally so resentment brews and connection fades. That,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, from speaking from a father and a husband's point of view, like notice how it didn't say like I'll make him cheat
That's
with.
what I was going to say. When you ask that question, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, you're going to, I don't know, put like porn ads out for him, or you're going to make sure he builds a relationship with another woman, or he has an affair.
Mhm.
Not once do you think he's going to do it so discreetly, as
And
explained.
what got me here was that like it's the small things that actually happen on a day-to-day basis, right? As a man and as a father and a provider, sometimes those thoughts do cross your mind where you're like, man, is all this hard work going unnoticed, right? Like, am I putting in these hours? And it's not like you want a pat on your back, but you just want, acknowledgement that you are actually working hard, right? I think that's a man's biggest thing, is to be appreciated by the people that he's working for.
I think equally a woman too. And I think what we fail to see sometimes, myself included, is that life is so fast. Like,
Hmm.
especially when you have kids and a marriage and responsibilities, that like you tend to not do the little things sometimes, which is, I don't know, like get excited when you see each other, hang on for a longer kiss. So, like all those little things, if you continue to not do them, I could see how that could make the other
Yeah,
person feel like they're not enough or insignificant
yeah.
and all those things mentioned.
And it said, I'd convince him that his role is thankless and maybe he deserves more. And I think we've all went down that thought process where you think the grass is greener on the
On
other
the
side.
side.
And what he's saying he'll do is make you feel like, yeah, it is greener on the other side. And you know what? You're not appreciated, right? you're not, it is thankless. Maybe there is somebody there who will care for you more, appreciate you more, or applaud you when you walk into a room. Like, I think that was such a like brilliant move by the devil
Yeah.
to do something like that. And the last thing was I make him feel as a that he failed as a provider or protector. And that's probably the biggest one because every
Yeah.
man wants to be the provider and protector of his family. So if a man feels like he failed at that, I think that's what leads him astray,
Yeah.
right? If a man feels like a woman doesn't respect him as the provider or protector, as the man of the house, he's going to start looking for that recognition.
Somewhere else.
Absolutely. And especially if you feel like he failed already and the job's already done
Yeah.
and there's no turning back, 100%, like that's gold.
Yeah. And it's crazy how, like, he can try to make you feel that way just with your thoughts.
Yeah. And those are thoughts that he doesn't even have to tell you to do. He'll just plant the seed
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like, you know what? There's more on the other side. Like
Yeah.
that right there is like the first one hit it out the park for me. I'm like, I see men fall victim to this all the time.
Yeah.
When I go have a cigar with some of the guys and they're in happy marriages, but sometimes they'll just be like, man, like it's just nobody cares about us. Like somebody said that to me before, like talking about husbands. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
nobody's checking on us. And I do believe men have the responsibility to be the rock of the family and, not obviously show emotions, but also not overly emotional, right? Like you don't want to be the one that's constantly panicking and worried. You want to be the rock of the family. But the truth is men do feel like, shit, man, like
Yeah.
what about my mental health?
Yeah. I feel like sometimes you guys don't really talk about it though.
Yeah.
So like how does your partner even know that you're going through that or that
Yeah.
you feel that way? Because sometimes you like I guess it's believed that if you complain, you're less of a man. Or if
Yeah.
you feel like some type of emotion because I don't know, you don't feel appreciated, it sounds like you're just,
Yeah.
bitching.
No, yeah. I mean, it is hard for a man to say when something's bothering him or you feel like something's unjust because, yeah, to us, it comes off like we're bitching and we're complaining. And men, we just don't want to come off that way. So a lot of the times we just eat it. Like when
Yeah.
we feel an unjust in the relationship, in the household, I mean, a lot of times we just swallow it and just push
I
it
mean,
deep
that's not
down.
good because it like compounds like
Of course, of
little by
course.
little. And by
Yeah.
the time you know it, you blow up or you don't. And then you just create more separation, which is worse.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm just saying we're naturally wired to stuff all that negative feeling down because it is perceived weakness. It is perceived as you're not a man if you don't have your stuff together and you don't
Yeah.
have your emotions in check. So is it healthy? I don't know, but I just know that most of us are wired that way.
Yeah. You say that and it's funny because I remember when I gave birth and you were complaining about the the couch being hard or something like that. And I'm like, legs spread in the air in major pain, just gave birth to a whole human. And I was like, this guy better not. But you see, like that, those things are kind of funny. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like the more real things.
I was probably just teasing with that because, yeah, it is uncomfortable to our defense, but it's just teasing to make light of a serious situation. So the first one targeted the head of the family. The second one targets the wife, targets you. And it says, weaken the wife, seed quiet discontent and comparison. What's interesting here is that the way he would attack a woman is completely different than he would attack a man because the things that he attacks a woman for are things that a man wouldn't really care about.
Yeah.
So check this out. I'd magnify small annoyances with her husband until they feel like deal breakers. I'd feed her social media images of better husbands, quote unquote, and more fun families. I tell her that she's doing everything alone, even if she's not. And the goal is to erode her admiration and trust in her husband.
That's deep.
What do you think?
I think that he's right on point.
The devil's
And when you said like, quiet, like, yeah, it is because it's a lot of times, and it mentions it there, it's not necessarily thoughts, but it's also the comparison, especially in this era, right?
Yeah.
Where all you do is, scroll and compare and, well, I want to be on that vacation. Well, how come we can't go there? So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the
that's rough.
time when you send me like vacations or like destinations. I'm like, where'd you see this? That's always my first question is like, where'd you see
I
this?
mean, yeah, I mean, some of the messages are not about comparisons. It's more than anything like I saw a deal and I'm like, oh my God, like the other day I saw a great deal for a cruise. And I'm like, I haven't been on this ship. I want to go, I want to go here. But that wasn't compared. That was an ad.
But do you feel that sometimes either yourself or women do compare their
Oh,
lives
100%.
and their situation to other
They
couples?
compare everything. We compare how big the house is, how big someone else's ring is, and again, people go through different stages. Not always is it every woman that's going to compare that. But I'm thinking of like even in my past, like as you start to grow, you realize like those things don't actually matter.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bigger house, cool, more to clean. But the way that I see it is 100%. Like every woman compares. So
Yeah.
social media can be the enemy sometimes, which is one of the reasons why so many people go through so much depression because they compare their bodies, their situation, their relationship, their marriage, all of those things. So 100%.
Yeah. It says, I tell her she's doing everything alone, even if she's not. And I think that's a golden one right there because since women carried well, mothers I'm talking about specifically, since they carried the baby in their womb by themselves and they gave birth literally not by themselves but by themselves, right? Because they're the ones that were pushing. I think they have this inherent belief that there's nothing a man can do to just match what she does in the relationship. So,
I think there's more to that than just
so
the
explain it to me.
birth. Yeah, I just think that women and moms, our mind shifts completely, right? Yes, when we are carrying the baby, we are carrying the baby by ourselves, but we're already sacrificing different things while pregnant that the man doesn't necessarily have to do. So we almost feel like our sacrifice is greater because the truth is that it is. It's our bodies. It's a lot of the things. Like for example, like I didn't have deli meat when I was pregnant. I love deli meat. That's exactly what I wanted the moment I gave birth. I didn't have sushi. I love sushi. So it's just little things that you do it for your child. So early on, you're already sacrificing things that the dad doesn't necessarily have to sacrifice. I think the sacrifice for the father comes after. But even then, there's just things like women carry the schedules for the kids, what extracurricular activity they're going to be part of. It's just, yes, men carry different things, but when it comes to the children, we feel like we do a lot of the work.
Yeah, but isn't it balanced in the sense that you do those things and then the man picks up responsibilities in other areas and it balances out?
Yes,
And
but
it's not
that's
fair to feel alone because the man is doing a whole other array of things to bring to the household.
100%, but that also depends on what marriage or what relationship you're in, right? Because not always does a man carry other responsibilities that the woman doesn't. Sometimes they both carry the same, right? I feel like in the past, funny enough, I was just talking to my mom about this. I was telling her, I don't know who told anybody that women can do it all, right? You can, have this great career, be a great, not just a great mom, a present mom, because there's a difference, right? You could be a great mom and you can love your children, but sometimes you're not necessarily present because you can't be, right? Who said that we can work 40 hours, stay in shape, maintain a social life, eat healthy, treat your man right? Like, it's just the list goes on. So it just depends, because if you're lucky enough to have a spouse that does carry a lot of other responsibilities around the house, then that's great. But for the most part, a lot of women do a lot of things men do, right? Which they also work, they also have the responsibilities of bills. So it just kind of depends on your situation. Not everyone's going to feel the same way.
But I think we should look at how he's framing it. He's saying, I tell her she's doing everything alone, even if she's not, which means you are getting the help, but somehow you're convincing yourself that you're
You're
not.
not. Okay.
And I think that happens sometimes because you have this preconceived notion of motherhood and we're doing everything. I think sometimes you guys kind of forget the struggles and the battles that we go through and say, well, I'm doing this alone because you're not physically here with me when I'm, planning all this for the kids, or I'm doing this, that, and the third. So I can see how that can become.
Oh yeah, that is definitely now that you re-explain the statement. Yeah, because I've even felt things like that before. I think we've had like arguments about it, where it does feel like I'm carrying most of the weight, and then
With the kids.
with the kids, and then when we do talk about it, and you do give your side of the things that you do, it's like, why do I feel that way, right? And I feel like a lot of women might go through that.
And that's why I say I think the devil's playing on nature, right? Because naturally you feel that close connection to the kids. And since you're naturally going to be doing a lot of those things, you feel like you're the one doing
Most.
most of it
Yeah.
alone. And you might be in certain aspects, but in a healthy marriage, a man is doing just as much, just in a different area.
Yeah.
And the goal for that line was to erode her admiration and trust in her husband. And to me, that's everything. Once a woman loses respect, admiration, trust in her man, I mean,
It's
you
over.
tell us, there's no coming back from it.
Yeah.
Like a man has a better chance cheating and the wife or the woman come back than if he never cheated and she just was disgusted
Yeah,
with
I
him.
think once you lose respect for a man, it's just
You can't get it back.
meh, maybe you can. Very difficult.
From a scale 1 to 10, 10 being easy to get it back and 1 being no chance, what would you say is a possibility?
Probably a 2.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
difficult. I
non-existent.
mean, I guess it could probably happen for those who really want it, but it is definitely difficult because I think that like respect for men is everything. And if a woman doesn't respect a man, there's just no way that she's going to look to him to be her protector
Yeah.
or to be her provider. She doesn't respect him. So
Once she views him as somebody who can't be that man for her no more, it's
it's
almost
almost by the time that you view it that way,
it's already
you
too late.
you're just ready to dispose.
Yeah, because then women go from that to once they move on to being disgusted with the man. Like, I can't believe I even
Yeah.
dealt with that guy in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I don't really find that with men, right? Men rarely look at their exes and be like, I can't believe I messed with that girl. Like, that doesn't happen. Women, you hear it all the time. Like, ugh, I can't believe I dated that guy. Which it tells you once a woman's done with somebody, she's done.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. So the third one is make them both busy but not present. I'd fill their calendars with obligations so there's no margin for joy. I'd make them scroll endlessly at night instead of talking to each other. I'd encourage distraction over presence, work over play, TV over dinner, screen over eye contact. And the goal is to starve the relationship of intimacy while pretending nothing's wrong.
Wow. You say intimacy, and a lot of people think like, sex, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many other levels of intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he explained how he would starve that literally from point A to point Z
Yep.
is disturbing.
And it goes back to making us pretend like nothing's wrong, right? Like and we've been guilty of this, where you'll be on one side of the bed, I'm on the other side of the bed, we're sending each other memes, and like we're just both on the phone, not
Yeah.
paying attention, and we think it's
I catch it
harmless,
sometimes.
and we think that it's harmless, but literally that exact thing is what the devil would do to break us apart.
Yeah. And not necessarily 1 day or 2 days, but like every single day for a long period of time before it becomes a real issue.
Yeah, that man, and I can only imagine how many people do that,
Yeah.
where they're just constantly in their own little world and just ignoring the other person. Because listen, back in the day, like that wasn't even an option. When people didn't have cell phones, you were just in bed with your spouse and you would talk to them.
Yeah. It's a real thing. Sometimes people say things like, oh my God, I had such a great time. I barely have pictures. Right. And it's because they're so present in the moment,
Yep.
having a good time with the other person, that they didn't even pick up their phone.
That's
And
the best.
Yeah. Right. And then now it's like your life is on the phone. You almost have more conversations with people you don't even physically know because maybe you're like, in a group chat or whatnot. And you don't connect with the people that are right in front of you.
Yeah. It says, I'd fill their calendars with obligations so there's no margin for joy. Because, I mean, anybody who's married and has kids knows that every weekend it's something.
Yeah.
Every weekend is something. And you're going from one function to one family event to another kid's birthday party to it's from one thing to another, and then in between those moments you're home and you're scrolling
Yeah.
endlessly, the,
But
the
even the
zoom the doom
even
scroll.
even for the people who don't have kids, I know I have a couple of friends who have multiple jobs, right? So they're busy too. And they don't get home till 9, 10 o'clock. And they've admitted before, like at that time, I don't have the energy to like even want to have a conversation with anybody. But somehow they find the energy to be on their phone, right? So
Yeah,
they'll have the
that's
person
true.
next to them, but they'll just be scrolling.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly, I'll be honest, that the constant phone thing, it bothers me a lot because
Yeah.
you literally, I'm talking about you, I'm saying in general, you'll literally spend the entire day just on your phone and not paying attention. It's the worst thing, and I'm cutting myself off. But when you're having dinner with somebody or even with a friend and you guys are talking and then one person is constantly on their
No,
phone,
that's a little disrespectful. I hate
you
that.
feel like you're not even there. Like, I don't even like, this, I don't even like watching a show with somebody who's on their phone.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's funny you say that because sometimes I'll be in jujitsu and one of Ava's friends, her mom goes there and we talk. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, she's not doing good today or something because I'm not sending a video. But really, it's because I'm in the middle of a conversation with another adult and I feel weird like grabbing my phone while she's talking.
No, that
And,
is weird. I'm glad you don't do
so
that.
I don't do that. And that happens to me in dance too. I go to dance with one of my good friends and we're talking all the time. So like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I have to send this text or whatever. And I know she doesn't care. We're close enough to not care about that stuff. But I'm like, yeah, no, I'm like in the middle of a conversation. I'll talk later. Because I feel like grabbing your phone in somebody else's presence when you're supposed to be like enjoying your time, it's almost like a slap in the face. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're not that interesting. I'm not having that much fun.
Yeah, imagine like you're talking to me and I just go, yeah, it's at 7 o'clock. I'll pick it up later. Yeah, so XYZ.
And then
And then
you
you just jump away again. And then you're in another chat, and we're all in multiple chats. And it's
yeah.
distracting. And it just lets the other person know, like, I'm here with you, but I also rather be talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's why when I'm watching a show, I hate when I don't care if it doesn't even have to be texting, just doing anything else other than doing what we're doing. I think that's why movie theaters are still great because you can't really do that in a movie theater or it's frowned upon.
I mean, you can, but then the light of your phone is in your face, and you're
Exactly.
like,
That's what
oh,
I'm
let me put this
saying. But
down.
at home, you could be watching it with your spouse and then they're just on their phone and you're like, oh, did you see that? What do you think? And they're just, what was that? It's like, I'm watching this by myself.
Yeah,
So
100%.
that attacking both and bringing the phone into the mix is pure genius. All right. Number 4, target the marriage bond, turn teammates into opponents. I'd amplify every miscommunication until it became a fight. I'd have them keep score. Who's doing more, who's more tired, and who's less appreciated.
Oh, that's a big one.
I'd make them forget they're on the same side. It's another big one. That's something that I
Yeah,
say. And the goal is to destroy unity so the family has no core to orbit around.
savage. I can't stand him.
That I'd make them forget they're on the same side is so valid because sometimes you think you're trying to win or get points in an argument with
Yeah,
somebody, and especially if you're married to the person, you guys are on the same team. Literally, you guys have the same goal for your lives. Literally. So when you try to one up each other or throw a punch below the belt, it's almost like you're trying to destroy the other person. And if you really succeeded in destroying the other person, you're destroying your own marriage, your own
yeah,
relationship. So it's kind of crazy that we know this and yet a lot of people still do it.
yeah. Something else you said was compare who's more tired. And I feel like this even happens with friends, like, especially moms. Well, they'll say something like, well, my kid woke up yesterday at 3 in the morning, blah, blah, blah. And then the other mom will jump in and be like, yeah, well, mine woke up at 3 and at 4. And then you don't understand what
Mine threw up on
happened.
the
And
bed.
da-da-da. And it's just like, it's true. And it happens a lot in marriages where, one of the spouses would say, I'm exhausted. I had to wake up at 6. And the other one would say, well, so am I. I had to wake up at 6. And then at 8, I had to do this. And then at 12, I had to do this. So it becomes a competition of who's more tired. So the other person wants to like feel pity or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I do that sometimes.
Yeah, no, and I'm guilty of these. That's why it's so scary and chilling because like If I change the baby's diaper, I'd be like, hey, I smell crap. I just changed it twice already.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hinting like, you do it because I already did it.
Yeah.
And it's those little things magnified over bigger things. Like, well,
Yeah.
I dropped off the kids 6 times last week and you only did it twice. So you're up.
Yeah. So don't do it.
I know. But that's, I don't know. There's a natural inclination to do those things,
Yeah.
right? Because it goes back to being like, maybe you don't feel.
I felt that this morning because I'm super sore from the gym and I got up like 3 times last night because the kids were just being kids. And this morning, Arya started crying in the bed. And you remember I said, babe, can you go grab her?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, it's true. I did think that. I was like, first of all, I woke up 3 times to get these girls. My legs hurt so much. I can't even get up. I can't even sit in the toilet. And then so I said that and I'm like, I just hope he just goes and grabs and doesn't like tell me, why don't you go grab the baby?
Yeah.
Because then it creates a situation.
Yeah.
And thankfully he just, I think we were both so tired that he just got up and went to go get her.
I mean, I've done it too, where we would put them to bed in their room, and I would get up like 3 times back to back, and then on the fourth time, I would just bring them to our room, and then you would wake up and say, "Well, why'd you bring them?" I'm like, "Cause I'm tired of waking up.
Yeah.
I'm tired of constantly going." They're kind of saying, "Hey, you're not waking up, so I'm gonna, cut this out right now."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and the goal of that one was to destroy unity so the family has no core to orbit around. And I think that's important, right? Because this is what the kids see. If they see our unity, then they're going to have that to orbit around and model after. If they just see us constantly bickering at each other
Yeah.
and constantly, well, I did this, you should do that, it just doesn't set the right tone for the
Yeah.
kids.
And then as adults, that's where all their money goes into therapy because
Yeah, for real. Look, and so far we're 4 things through, and it's 6 total. Nothing has been out of this world. Like
yeah.
literally, nothing has been something that you're like, I can't believe he would do that. It's all little things that I think we can all relate to,
Well, he said he'd do it silently.
and subtly and surgically. So, eye opener. All right, the next one is get to the kids through the atmosphere, meaning he's gonna set the tone for the household. I wouldn't go after the kids directly. I'd infect the home with tension, silence, and coldness. I'd make joy feel rare and safety feel uncertain. I'd plant the idea that love has to be earned and peace is fragile. The goal is to create a legacy of insecurity, confusion, and emotional distance.
I rebuke you, devil. That is
Yeah.
horrific.
Yeah, so this is probably the first one that we don't do, right?
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of love in our family, and we
We
let the
do.
kids know that we love them a lot more than I've told just one of my daughters I love them more than I've been told that my parents love me my entire life. So thank God. I mean, we don't do any of these. Make joy feel rare and safety feel uncertain. I think this is more to the people who fight a lot
Yeah.
and they're constantly bickering and they're constantly at a point where they don't even speak to each other. So it creates that cold tension where they're not speaking to each other in front of the kids.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we don't do that at all. I even tell my kids constantly, like, how beautiful they are, how safe they are in their home, how they're always protected, how God protects them
Yep.
constantly. And I constantly tell them I love them. You're my world. 100% we're their safe place. So that one, like I said in the beginning, I rebuke you.
And I think it's important that everybody who has kids always remembers that the kids are always watching.
Yeah.
They're always modeling after you. They're trying to see how you interact with each other, how you interact with other people. And if you're one of those couples that are constantly fighting, like always fighting, that means you're always not speaking to each other after you're
Yeah.
fighting, and you have that weird tension where you speak maybe through the kids.
Or you show aggression in front of the kids where
Yeah.
the kids don't feel safe as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, that could really damage
And it might
the
even
children.
set them up with problems of their own.
And it's crazy because I think about like showing each other love, and it's actually hard for us to show each other love because our little ones are so like protective
Yeah,
and they're so
it's true.
they're
They don't want us to hug and kiss.
They don't want us to hug and kiss. They feel like I'm theirs and so is he, but we can't be each other's. So I don't know if you noticed this morning, but when you were taking the kids, I kissed both of them and I told them, "You're my world." And then I kissed you and I'm like, "You're my world too." And I looked at Ava and Arya and both of them are looking at me like,
Yeah, Arya hates it when you do that, and then Ava just hates it because Arya hates it, so she's just copying
"Yeah,
her.
yeah." But yeah, they don't like it. They feel like we shouldn't show each other affection. And even though we still do, and I purposely do it because I need them to understand that like I love on you too, and that I love you too, so that when they get older, they also carry that type of relationship.
Yeah, agreed. And the last one, the nail in the coffin, is convince everyone this is just life. I'd normalize exhaustion, bitterness, and quiet despair. I'd make them think there's no real danger, just growing apart. I drown out their spiritual awareness with noise and convenience. And the goal is to prevent awakening, prevent healing, prevent prayer.
Oh my God.
So if you take the opposite of all this, is pretty much saying the the weapon against this is awakening, is healing, is
And it's
prayer.
prayer.
Because convincing everyone this is just life is diabolical, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're just gonna be unappreciated for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're just gonna be unhappy. You're
Yeah,
just
there's it's always gonna be the grass is always gonna be greener, and you're never gonna get to see that grass. And that feeling, I mean, I know people who are going through that.
yeah, talk about depression.
Oh
That
yeah.
is awful.
Look how it ends it. It says, if I were the devil, I wouldn't need a nuclear bomb to blow up a family. I just need enough time, enough pride, and enough silence to rot it from the inside. So just time, pride, and silence. And if you instill enough false pride in anyone, woman, man, right? And then you push them apart and just let the silence fill. I mean, when you think about it, that's a perfect recipe for a broken family.
Too bad for him. The prayer is here nonstop
Yeah.
because there's just no way like that. That is sick.
Yeah.
That is awful.
Yeah, no, that's
Wow.
that's such a
Eye opener.
yes,
And it's a
because
little shocking too.
it's a lot shocking. And my biggest thing was that none of these things are out of the ordinary, right? The kid one was a little bit out of the ordinary because we don't do that, but everything else, the exhaustion, the fill your calendars and you know make them scroll endlessly at night, and it's stuff that I'm sure everyday people do.
Yeah. Of course, because it's normal things. And I feel like it's normal behavior. And we are exhausted. We as people, right? Like, we're not supposed to be sitting at a desk for 8 hours for 5 days a week,
Yeah.
right? Probably doing something we don't love, having issues with friends and with family. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I could see how like those little things can add up and could literally lead someone to
Yeah, because
major depression.
I didn't think that they could add up to that. I thought they could just add up to, you know what, I'm just going through a rough little season. It'll get better. And if you go by that, like it doesn't get better. It just gets worse.
No,
And
you don't see the light.
it's like water. When you let water into a crack, it spoils everything. You can't let that seep in. You can't let
Yeah.
that doubt seep in. You can't let that distrust seep in because it'll just cause havoc.
So let's discuss literally what you said it at the end, but like let's kind of repeat it. What is a recipe to fight all this?
If the first one is to start with the husband and make him feel like he's never enough, and then go at the wife and then make them feel like they're both busy and kill the intimacy, then I would say radical unity is a good one. Understanding that we're on the same team, we have the same mission, we have the same goals. Literally, we're raising the same humans that are half you and half me. I think that always putting the family unit before anything else is key.
Yeah. And also like remembering this exact conversation, right? While you're in the middle of doing everything we discussed, comparing exhaustion with your spouse, creating silence, having pride, and think about this exact moment and literally rebuke the
Yeah.
devil when that's happening and
Yeah.
understand that he has no place in your marriage, in your home, with your kids, and praying that you don't ever go down that road.
And I also think it's important to understand that when an argument does arise, it's typically arises from a problem, and understanding that it's not me versus you, it's us against this problem.
Yeah.
And our job is not to win an argument, it's to solve a problem. And I think you and I and everybody else both lose sight of what the purpose of an argument is.
Yeah.
It's not to win the argument, it's to solve a problem or to clarify a miscommunication.
Yeah.
And so many times we just want to get one up on and win the fight.
Yeah, I think that that's also like your emotions, right? In the moment. That's why silence is golden, because sometimes you just have to like take a moment, like take a breather, give yourself a couple hours, go take a walk, before you respond, before you act in a manner you might regret. I remember when we first started our relationship, whenever we had an issue, you wanted to talk about it right then and there, and I wasn't great at communicating. So I remember I used to say like, I need a minute. Like I gotta take a walk. I gotta go do something, because I know that when my emotions are high, I say things I don't mean, and then that could lead to other fights.
What's interesting is because, yeah, we have different ways of dealing with conflict. I want to get it out and over with as soon as possible and also talk about the problem. But you also, in the beginning especially, you weren't able to talk problems through. So when you did go on a walk, you would write up a whole message,
Yeah.
a whole paragraph of how you
Yeah,
felt.
because I don't want to. I feel like sometimes your tone affects your message, and if you don't have the maturity to have the right tone when you're speaking to somebody, especially somebody you don't want to hurt their feelings, I think sometimes it's better to like write things down.
Yeah.
And I think that that was my outlet back then. Back
Yeah.
then, my outlet was, okay, if I say this, I am probably going to hurt someone's feelings by the way, like in the tone that I'm saying it, because it's going to come out wrong. When you're typing something, you kind of reread it and you're like, okay, let me delete that. That was so savage. Let me go back and say it this way. So I think that's the way that I would solve things back then.
Yeah. I mean, you would still hurt feelings sometimes because you'll still type something that is crazy. But yeah, I used to think it was crazy that we would separate like immediately. I'll get like a 20-page text message of like, well, you know what's funny?
You know what I remember in 1942?
42? How old are you?
I'm just saying, we're infamous for bringing up old things that have nothing to do with the fight that's currently happened.
One of us is.
No, I say we as in like women, like us.
Oh, okay. That's what.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
yeah.
infamous for bringing up old shit.
Exactly. Stuff that's completely irrelevant. Another thing, I think to combat this is open communication. It's not waiting to the last minute to voice how you feel about something. You like calling it when your cup's filled. It's before the cup's filled, let you know something that the person that you're not happy with at the moment, so it doesn't boil up.
You know, I have something to add to that, because you said something and I remembered something. You're right. Don't wait till your cup is filled to say what's bothering you, but also when your spouse does something great and you want him to repeat, or want him or her to continue to do it, I think it's important to call it out.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what? When you do this, I really like it. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel like you're taking care of me.
Yeah.
So that
Positive reinforcement.
so that they feel like, okay, well, maybe I should do that more often.
I think that's way better than saying, "Hey, you didn't do this," or
Yeah.
"You didn't do that," and that negative reinforcement. That same thing with kids, right? You want to cheer for them when they're doing something you want them to keep doing.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is keep filling the house with love and letting the kids know that it's a safe place for them to grow and say ideas and
feel safe.
feel safe. Yeah, that's when we're putting the kids to sleep. My biggest thing with Ava is like, look, you're safe here. Like, this is your house.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen in this house, and that's all I try to do is instill her feeling of safety.
Yeah. I mean, all in all, to really combat the devil is pray. Where God's presence is, he's not welcomed. So whenever you do encounter these situations, or are feeling in any type of these ways, I would say just bow your head and rebuke him and call God and let him know that you need his protection right this moment. Because at the end of the day, that's what the devil's scared of.
Yeah, clearly, right? If you read the words, it's like, I'm going to prevent you from even being able to pray. And if somebody's not even praying, what does that tell you? They've already given up. And
Yeah.
that's exactly where he wants you.
Or they've never tried, or they don't know it works,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, that's a whole other, it's a whole other situation. But
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't even know that that's an option, then
or
lucky
that it
for
has
them,
power
lucky
for,
for them when they do find out, it's like a whole new world opens up.
yeah, a whole new world. But there's so much power in prayer. It's insane. So like for those that don't know that that's a thing, one day hopefully you are open to understanding what that's like and trying it, and then you'll see.
Yeah, because if you go through the list and you don't have prayer and you don't have a stronger belief in a greater good, then I'm curious as to how you would combat those things,
Yeah.
you know?
I think that it wouldn't even be a matter of trying to combat them because you wouldn't even be aware that they're a thing.
Yeah.
You'd
So,
you'd
yeah,
just be
the
like,
devil would be winning.
well, exactly. You just be like, well, our relationship just didn't work out
Yeah.
because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Agreed. Man,
That was intense.
that was something.
That was intense.
I'm going to ask it next time how do you get a wife to stop spending so much money and
Shut
see what it says.
up.
See what it says.
Shut up.
Give me the playbook. It'll be
I'm gonna
spot
pray
on.
for you, babe.
It'll be spot on.
I'm gonna pray for you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and till next time, peace.